All right, let's do it, y'all. New York City, what's up? Talk to me. Hop in the comments. Ty Butler streaming live here on YouTube and on Twitter. Busy day, man. Busy day. But we've got some NBA news we got to get into. My man Jeff Johnson, who does an awesome job. He's out here with the Knicks Film School, hopping on the program today. Talk about these Giannis rumors. So let's get to it, man. I want to hear from the Knicks fans about whether or not they want Giannis at this point in time. Like, if you can have Giannis Antetokounmpo, do you want him? Is that someone you want right now? The Karl Anthony Towns issues are well documented, and I don't think they're going away. I also feel like there is a correlation between Cat and Bridges struggling with these rumors and how, like, it's difficult. And I understand people are going to say, yo, it's sports, right? Like, it's a business. Trade rumors happen. You got to be ready for it. Easier said than done, man. Easier said than done. So once you are linked to rumors that could ship you to Portland, or I don't even think that's going to happen, like Milwaukee, you would have to have some third team involved. New Orleans, when it starts to invade your mental space, I can understand players struggling. When you thought, I'm going to be a part of the New York Knicks and we are going to contend for a championship. And then all of a sudden, this bombshell hits in the offseason that Giannis may ask out, and his destination, his number one priority, his preferred spot is the New York Knicks. I get how that can just kind of mess up your mental state. Now, ultimately, if you are a Knicks fan, what you care most about is this team competing for a championship. And I said this Saturday night on TV on SNY, and people got so mad at me. Predictably, it's funny because as I am setting up my take, I said right before, Knicks fans are going to be annoyed with me. And what happened after that? Knicks fans got mad. I said, watching that game against the Sixers actually negatively affected my title hopes for this team. I felt worse about their title chances. Because for you to have your best quarter in weeks come with Cat on the bench spoke to a larger issue. It wasn't just an isolated game. That to me was more of a big picture situation that I thought was going to be hanging over this team for the season. And I just went back to right before game number one. Cat's asked about his role, and he's just like, I don't know. And I thought to myself, it's odd that the second best player on a team expected to get to the finals comes into the season not knowing his role. And that can be dismissed as like, all right, new coach, we'll figure this thing out. Last night, they were better without him. Mike Brown didn't close the game with them. They've won 3 straight games. He's averaging 23 minutes a night in those games. And so this is a larger issue, bigger than I think some people would like to admit. But it's rearing its ugly head in a sense of, yes, they've been winning games, but the noise is just going to get louder and louder and louder the closer we get to the deadline. And I guess the hope has to be, if he doesn't get moved, maybe, just maybe, that kind of ends this conversation and he's able to just focus on basketball and people can just, pay attention to what's going on this season. But I think even that would be, to me, even that would be kind of naive because let's just say Giannis gets traded or he stays in Milwaukee. We're just gonna ratchet this thing back up come the off season. It's gonna become a conversation once again. And so unless he gets traded somewhere and he immediately signs an extension, which is not going to happen, this story will continue to have legs, which is why it's worth paying attention to. It's worth paying attention to. Um, so we're gonna have to be ready for it. And if I want to hear from the Knicks fans, if you are on board with this trade, let me know. Hit me up. Hop in the comments. Give the show a subscription on YouTube. Smash that subscribe button. Hit me on Instagram and, of course, on Twitter. I think it was Kendrick Perkins the other day who said that he was tired of the Giannis story. And I was like, bro, I'm feeling you. Because when it's like over and over and over, you're beaten over the head with it. You get to a point where you're just like, all right, enough. Can something just happen already? Like I felt that way with the Cody Bellinger rumors. I'm just like, yo, enough. Like I feel like I'm just being mashed over the back of the head with a story that yes, I'm interested in, but I just want to see it come to an end. Which is why I'm hoping and praying we get to a point where like come next Thursday, this is resolved. And I'm not confident that's going to happen because if you're Milwaukee, the better trade packages are going to present themselves this offseason. And you don't want to be in full blown panic, right? You don't want to just acquiesce to Giannis's wishes right now just for the sake of it when you got to do your due diligence and you've got to make sure you maximize this package. Yossi Goslin, who is an NBA salary cap analyst, points this out for us, and I think it's very instructive. Just on a topic of conversation here, if we take a look at this tweet on the screen, the Knicks and Heat seem like natural front runners for Giannis onto the Kumpo. The Bucks can extract more from these teams in the offseason. The Heat can trade 2 first round picks now. That goes up to 4 this offseason. The Knicks can trade 0 now, but that goes up to 2 in the offseason. So the teams that are considered front runners right now are armed with assets to go get Giannis, but that package becomes a lot bigger once we get to the offseason, as per this tweet. All right. Enough of me yapping. Jeff Johnson, Emmy Award winning TV host. Catch him everywhere, man. TNT Sports, Bleacher Report, Knicks Film School, NBA Takedown Pod, Power After Hours. Really excited to have him on the show here, making his debut on the Ty Butler Show. Jeff, really appreciate you joining. Big fan of your work, my man.
Thank you,
Appreciate you
brother. Thank
hopping
you
on
for
the show.
having me. I'm hyped to be here, man. It's good to connect with you and talk some sports, man. How you
Yeah,
feeling?
I'm feeling great, man. What a day in the New York sports ecosystem here. You had the Jets with their defensive coordinator. You got the Giants with Munkin going to Cleveland. And now we got the New York Knicks because Shams hit us with a little bit of a banger that this Giannis conversation that has had some legs for months looks like we may be headed toward a resolution, could be traded by the next deadline, but they're open for business. So I want to get your reaction once you saw the report today.
Yeah, I thought it was only a matter of time. There's only so much deflection that can happen behind the scenes, in front of the camera. For weeks, we've heard that, as everybody's been reporting, the writing is on the wall that Giannis and the Bucks were headed to some type of divorce. And Giannis doesn't want to look like the bad guy. The Bucks don't want to get hosed in a trade, but everybody wants to do what's best for all interested parties. So now we're here. I think we've been here
Mm-hmm.
for at least 6 weeks to 2 months, but now we're getting the official pressure from whatever side that it's time to try to find something and make it happen. I'm just not so sure it's going to happen when everybody thinks it is.
So here's my question. Like, if you're the Bucks, I guess you're battling like two conflicts that counter each other. One is this dude has been sending shots for like a year now that he just doesn't want to be there anymore. So on one side, it's like it's in your best interest to just trade him somewhere else where he can be happy, so that like this is not polluting your locker room, and you're
Mm-hmm.
going into a rebuild and you're going into a culture change. But let's just get this thing done now. But on the other side of it, Jeff, it's like I am not going to shortchange myself because I can get much more if I wait until the off season. So where do you side with that?
I agree. I think the Bucks have to do what's best for the organization and get as many assets as they can. Remember how much everyone was up in an uproar, and rightfully so, went that Luka Doncic trade.
Yeah,
Like the fact that they didn't get one first round pick, and I thought a lot of folks were being obtuse when they thought it was dissing Anthony Davis or
yeah,
downplaying who he is. I'm like, yo, Anthony Davis is one of the best players to play this game. We also know he has an extensive injury history. What's the point of trading for him if he's not going to be on the court? I think I saw a stat that said he's had like 11 different injuries since he's been with the Mavs. He hasn't even been with them 2 years, right? So I think what the Bucks want to do is, if they're trading him, you're pretty much blowing it up. You're going for full rebuild. They want to get some young assets. They want to get some young players. They want to get some draft capital. They want to make sure they can get their best bang for their buck. I don't believe that they are in a position of pressure. They're not under pressure. Giannis has a whole other year on his contract before his player option. They do not have to move him at all. If he wants to sit the rest of the year, so be it. I don't think you can get any worse with a PR nightmare if you're the Bucks at this point. At this point, you got to do what's best for your team. So I do think because there is love between Giannis and the Bucks, they're going to try to figure out what the best course of action and the best resolution is going to be. But if you're the Bucks, you have to seriously consider, are we going to inconvenience our future to comfort our present?
Mm. Now, as an NBA fan, I hope this thing goes down because he's one of the best players in the league. And I don't want to watch the rest of the season as, as a diehard Hoops fan, looking at this guy wasting away for a hapless Bucks team. It excites me if he goes to Toronto because, if they're able to keep Scotty Barnes and Brandon Ingram, which according to reports they want to do with where they are now, you get Giannis in a weakened Eastern Conference. They're a contender. It excites me the prospect of him going to the Spurs or him going to the Rockets, even the Knicks, which we'll get into in a moment here. So as a Hoops fan, I hope it gets done because he's too good to have him just sit there and just kind of be a distraction. Like to me, like this, we're talking about an all-time great player. Having the biggest story regarding him for 12 months just be like trade rumors is just a disservice to us NBA fans. So how do you view that situation?
I mean, we've been here before, right? Remember AD. Remember, there were Kobe rumors years ago when he wanted to be out and he wanted to be traded. There's been so many, even going into the off season, the whole KD Kyrie dynamic. There's been so many different times where we've been here where trade rumors have hovered over a superstar. Shoot, Melo
Yeah,
with 2010, 2011 season, right? So you think about all of these things. This is just par for the course. I mean, the trade deadline's been kind of dry. I'm gonna keep it
yeah,
real. The trade deadline's been dry this season. So I knew sooner or later this was going to heat up. Because he is the main domino that needs to fall before the rest of the league business can be taken care
And
of.
I think we need
Everyone's
it.
waiting.
I think we need it, and this is not to hate on OKC. I mean, Sam Presti, remarkable job. Like, just look at his last 15 years. I mean, the flop the first time with the whole Harden Ibaka thing, and to then get a second chance and finally cash in. But it's not interesting just, thinking about, well, who's going to be OKC in 4 playoff rounds? I want more contenders. I want more spice. I want more juice. And the Giannis thing happens, which brings us to the New York Knicks. If you're Leon Rose, is that a trade you're making this week?
It depends. And it sounds like a cop out, but it's the facts, man. It depends. I do not believe that the Knicks should gut their roster for Giannis in a midseason trade when they can make this happen in the offseason. They'll have more access to pick swaps. They have second round picks. Everybody talks about the quote unquote fake Wizards first, but it's going to offer 2 seconds in the high 30s, which the deeper the drafts get, the more vital those early second round picks become and more valuable. So I do think it would probably be more prudent to try to wait in the summer and ride out with the team that you have. This is a team that just went to the Eastern Conference Finals. And yeah, Cat's been struggling this season. They had their nightmare start to 2026. But they're currently on a 3-game win streak, and the writing of the ship is not too far off. It is a wide open East. So you could roll the dice and go with the team that you have, make marginal improvements, and see what happens in the postseason, knowing that if you fail this year, you have a Giannis button to hit, which would be a mild reset.
Yeah, here's my worry with that, because I don't necessarily disagree, but the counter would be the town stuff just feels heavy.
Oh
And
yeah.
you're hearing like a lot of chirping from the locker room, and it's ominous, we before me. Like, there are subtle shots being thrown that you just feel like are larger than what's being played. And I just go back to the beginning of the season. I was on the radio in ESPN New York, night 1, Knicks beat the Cavs. And I played as great of a win to start the season was. I played the cut of Towns being asked, like, before the year, what his role is with the team, and he said, "I don't know." And I just thought it was odd that the second best player on a team expected to get to the finals just doesn't know what his role is. Like, the gravity of this. You've been in New York, man. Like, this is a huge year for this team, most or highest expectations since Prime Ewing, and here you have the mega star who you traded for doesn't know what his role is, and that has seemingly crept into, here we are approaching February, where he just doesn't look comfortable. So am I going to roll the dice? I don't want to call him a malcontent because that feels harsh, but it's suffocating. Like, if he's
Mm.
unhappy and he doesn't know his role, and we're continuing to have this conversation, do I want to roll the dice with that?
That's a valid question. That's a valid question. And it's an answer that I think needs to be solved in the locker room. You got Jalen Brunson, who's supposed to be the captain. That seat gets real heavy when you get into times of controversy and conflict. It gets heavy,
Yeah.
super heavy. So you have to earn your keep there. I'm looking at the coaching staff as well. And I'm also looking at Cat to see if he is introspective enough to look in the mirror, because it's been 46 games. It's been 46 games. At this point, if you don't know your role, if you were on the job for 5 months and you made it clear that you didn't know your role, your higher ups may be thinking about changing your role to unemployed.
That's what I'm saying, man.
So he has to be able to look in the mirror and say, look, I got to make something happen. He has enough offensive talent that he can transcend any system. I just think he's been missing. He just hasn't been accurate. I don't know if he's injured. I don't know if the rhythm based on the new offense is throwing him off. Although he has all-star quality numbers, he hasn't been that Cat level of all-star this year. It's one of his worst shooting seasons since like his rookie year. So I think part of it is looking in the mirror to himself. I think part of it is a continuation of the coaching staff trying to figure out what makes him comfortable. And it's the leaders on that team getting together and rallying their guys. ever since they had the players only meeting, that wasn't a meeting, it was just a congregation of guys who all wear the same jersey and were just talking hoops. They're 3-0. So that's where I say the answer might be within at least this season.
So I had this take. I was on SNY on Sports Night on Saturday night, and it's funny. I delivered the take by prefacing it by saying Knick fans are going to be mad at me, and predictably, they got mad at me. And my take was, watching that game against the Sixers, as impressive of a win as it was, it also made me feel worse about their title chances because, and you just talked about the struggles, right? They had lost 9 of 12 headed into that game on Saturday. They're going into Philly against a team that twice over have beaten them this season. And, Maxey and Embiid just 2 nights ago in Houston were excellent and beat the Rockets. So, look, great win, fantastic. Like, we've steadied the ship kind of moment. But the most significant part of that was Cat. They were better with Cat on the bench. Heck, and then Mike Brown last night asked, okay, so why was Cat not playing in that fourth quarter? Well, we're just rolling with the group that we felt could give us the best chance to win. And you can say it comes from within and he's got to look himself in the mirror. Him and his head coach don't get along. Like there's something amiss there, something going awry, and now the fans are starting to turn on him. So I've got my trip. I picked the Knicks to come out the East, and that's not, going out on a limb. They were the favorites, but I just don't love the body language when I'm here. You know what it's starting to feel a little bit like? The Julius Randle thing.
See, the thing with the Julius Randle situation was that type of discord was more visible.
Yeah,
just because right. Randle was just in a mood.
Flipping the fans off.
Like irascible. Right. He was like really, really aggy, right? I think with this one, I think your concern, once again, I think your concern is valid. But not so much for a team chemistry point of view. I think it's because of a resource perspective. You can't have a $53 million role player on your team. You cannot, because that's a improper use of your resources. If Cat is going to serve that type of purpose, then you need to get a guy that can do the Cat things that he does well and then use that money elsewhere to get complementary pieces. That's where I see the concern. If it's really about we over me and team first and participating in a collective ego death, then no one should be mad. Because, hey, down the stretch last night, Hart sat too when they came back. Hart and Towns. We've seen times where Bridges has to hug the bench.
Saturday.
Because, where he has to hug the pine, right? So there's times where you just don't have it. Hey, last night, OG had to go sit in the corner for a second. He was just malfunctioning. Like he needed an update. He needed a system update because I haven't seen him that frazzled ever. 7 turnovers, getting grenades at the end of the shot clock. Like I haven't seen that. So you're going to have those moments. And, I think I can speak for Knicks fans when I say, don't care if Cat is sitting. If they're winning, once again, you'll figure it out. But
long term,
yeah. I'm not going to put my head in the sand and say it's not a problem. But if they figured out a formula that works and it's effective and the process yields the results that you want, that's the best case scenario. You also brought Coach Brown in here to make tough decisions. And I think he has a few if this roster stays the way it is, the core, he has a few on his hands. And I will also say about Towns sitting towards on the that stretch against the Kings last night. Towns was the reason why they were able to start that run. A lot of people might not want to give him credit, but he had 6 points and 5 bounds in that first half of the fourth quarter. And that was something that helped them keep that lead to at least 4 and 5 until that unit of Brunson and Bridges and OG and Mitch and Deuce went 21-9 on them and shut the door.
Which, by the way, and just quickly, because I know you do the breakdowns.
Yes, sir.
Brunson playing with 4 defensive menaces. That's like, if you're a Knicks fan, like that is apex Nick basketball because Brunson, yes, will still get picked on, but there's a difference between that and then having someone else like Cat on the floor who's also going to get picked on, and then Brunson can just do his thing because you got shooters now with OG Deuce and Bridges, and then Mitch is wreaking havoc on the boards and defensively. It's just like everything you dream of.
Yeah, man. A lot of folks, especially on Nick's Twitter, will tell you Brunson plus 4 defenders, this is the way.
Hmm.
This is the way. This is where you get the highly maximized version of the squad. The problem, to your point, is if you're excluding Cat from that equation, then that is going to be a major issue at some point. What I think is they're going to have opportunities where Cat is going to be needed and he's going to be able to step up in his own way. As long as he's contributing and is not a net negative at this point, he's in a funk. You got to look for the positives. He still has impact on that court as an offensive player where you have to honor his 3-point shot. He's able to space the floor, and defenders have to make business decisions when they're on the court when he's there because you have to honor his range. So I think those are the things that get unseen. The other thing is something's going to have to be done about the starting 5.
Yeah.
Because you look at the on-off numbers, and we have almost 2 years of data from regular season and postseason. Something about this 5 just does not click long-term. They have a plethora of options that at least analytically do better than that 5. So if it's a matter of you got to keep rotating and rotating and rotating and just using the lineups that are effective, I get it. But you get to the points where they have a lead and then they give it up, and then you switch out a few parts and then they're able to grab the lead back or extend. I saw the Cavs last season, their starting 5 played the least amount of minutes out of any lineup they had. Similar issues, but they were rotating and using a lot of schematic variety that you didn't really notice it. This might be another way for the Knicks to mitigate whatever it is about that 5 that doesn't gel.
All right. So what's going on with Jordan Clarkson now? Because we go back just a few months ago when the Knicks signed him, like how excited this fan base was. Now, I said temper the expectation. I'm a Laker fan, so I saw they drafted him, and I also watched Jordan Clarkson do the same thing for Cavs fans during that, what was it, the 2018 finals run, where they got him at the deadline. People were so excited and it kind of fizzled out. I think he's a nice player, but he's got clear flaws. He's not a playmaker. He's going to get attacked defensively. And when he's not rolling, he's I don't want to call him useless, but there's not much value he adds to being on the floor. So what do you make of Jordan Clarkson in his situation?
I think it's just an odd man out thing. He was struggling during that losing streak. And I think during that time, Mike Brown, once again, making tough decisions. It's like, yo, I got to go with my top 8 or 9 guys that are going to be able to contribute to winning. And if you have a major deficiency and you're not on a major contract, then you're probably going to have to sit. And I think with Clarkson, you just saw there were moments during that losing streak where if he wasn't scoring, he was ineffective. And I've seen him, even early on the year, he played passable to average defense, enough that you could get by. But I think the lineups caught up to him. I think you got to a situation where Landry Shamet got healthy. Everybody started to get healthy. That was the core rotation. Deuce. And Deuce as well, right? OG and Hart was out for a while. Once they got all their guys back, you would have had to do something extraordinary to stay in this consistent rotation. I also think there isn't any minutes for him because they're giving Yabusele some minutes to kind of shop him.
Yeah.
So you lose out on that as well. Like Kolek was looking like an excellent facilitator early on in the year.
Bro, this Christmas Day, he was Santa Claus on Christmas
NBA
Day.
Cup as well. NBA Cup as well. Like he had his moments this season, but during that stretch, it looked like the average to elite defenses just had Kolek in their back pocket. Just took his candy whenever they wanted to, stuffed them in the locker like it was crazy. So that's another reason why he isn't in the rotation anymore. So I do think Clarkson should stay on the court. I mean, should stay on the team because I feel like in those playoff moments, there's going to come a moment where you need him. Whether it's the regular season or the playoffs, you need a guy like him. And he's excellent insurance and a good emergency break to pull if you need scoring in bunches or there's a lot of foul trouble. So, and having that vet in the locker room is important too. At least I still believe.
Speaking of importance, the Knicks have a superpower, and it's like one of the most remarkable things I've ever seen. Mitchell Robinson like gets every single offensive rebound. And if you're a defense, think about how frustrating that is. You can work for 24 seconds of just lockdown, elite, shutting them down. Here this dude comes easily, gets an offensive rebound. And it feels like every time he gets a board, he's kicking it out for a three-point shooter. They knock it down, and it's just deflating. So I've raved about his value, and I go back to that Cavs playoff series where
Mhm.
and look, this was a bad take on my part. Knick fans ripped me for it, and rightfully so. I picked the Cavs to win it in 5 because I thought Cleveland home court advantage. They were the better team in the regular season. I thought they had the best player in the series in Donovan, who was a proven playoff performer. And I just felt like the Evan Mobley, Jared Allen combination was going to overwhelm them. And Mitchell Robinson just completely erased those guys, which is why, like, you've got to find a way. And they're being very cautious, and I understand it. But once he's fully unlocked and he can give you more minutes and play back to backs, like that is going to be such an advantage for this team.
100%. I think he is one of the most important players on the Knicks, and he's right now in one of the best stretches of his career. He's playing with those type of games that don't pop out on the stat sheet, but if you watch the game, you felt his presence. He has one of the highest. He's doing historical numbers per 36 on the
Mm.
offensive rebound, and he's grabbing 20, almost 23% of offensive rebounds per 36, which is better than some teams.
Mm-hmm.
Better than some teams. He is just somebody you have to account for on the offensive glass to the point where if he's rolling to the basket, if he's standing under the basket, they're sending 2 at him. They're sending
Yeah.
3 at him, which opens up the offensive boards for other players, opens up the lanes. He's just been phenomenal. And I love seeing him come back from injury and round out into form. I think he's essential to whatever they're going to do in the postseason. And what thing that you need, especially in a playoff run, it's a luxury to have an elite role player, somebody who's elite at one thing. If you need that one thing, he's there. He's elite at offensive rebounding, and we're getting close to him being elite on the defensive end, especially when he's healthy.
Yeah. He just shuts it
Yo,
down.
you can't call it with him, man. Like you can't deny his impact. You can't deny his impact at all. So I think he's somebody, especially given the playoffs where you're not going to be playing back to backs, is
Yeah.
going to be a player who's going to be instrumental in a long playoff run for the Knicks.
Now, normally, I don't love the per 36 numbers. I think it's overrated because we tend to extrapolate them for bench players who normally wouldn't play. Like, there's a reason why they're not playing those minutes. But I think it works for Mitch because if he's not tasked with doing so much offensively where like it'll exhaust him. Now, what he does, obviously, there's a lot of physicality exerted. But you're right, man. And for a Nick team that when they play their best, they're as good offensively as any team in the league. Extra possessions created that can flip a
Mhm.
playoff series,
A
and so
thousand
like
percent.
he's so invaluable, and you just got to keep this dude healthy because I'll take you a step further. You said he is one of the most. What did you say? One of the X factors, one of the most important pieces.
He's one of the most elite role players in the league.
And you said something about the Knicks, like he's one of the most
Oh,
important
he's
players on the team.
essential. He's
Oh,
essential to a long playoff run.
I'll take it a step further. I think he's one of the most important players in the Eastern Conference. Like that just
Mm.
because of what he brings and how it changes so much. Like Detroit, we saw them get blasted. And we're gonna talk about like how toughness. Like he's one of those guys who can mitigate some of what all of these other teams are really good at. And unless they go to like hack a Mitch, which we saw the Celtics do last year, it's
Mm-hmm.
gonna be really hard to stop that dude. We don't often talk, and I think it was Doris Burke who said this on a broadcast. He was like, "You don't often hear a player dominated who's not scoring," and that's what he does.
Yeah, he's just somebody who is a game disruptor. I mean, you remember the lights are brighter than what I expected from Jared Allen, right? It
Yeah,
was because he single-handedly dominated them,
it was
dominated their
embarrassing.
front line. Like
Yeah,
that was like his coming out party. I still say, had he not had Embiid not put him in the Kurt Angle ankle lock during their series, I think he would have been a major factor against the Pacers. I think that the Knicks don't turn into paper mache and crumble like a piece of loose leaf in water with all them injuries. And I think they handled them easily. That's the impact that he has. And kudos to their medical staff for keeping him relatively fresh and having him ready. I just say keep doing what you're doing, keep following whatever plan that you have because it's working.
yeah. So another thing that worked on Saturday, and talking about this with you because you do all the film stuff. So late in that game against the Sixers, they are desperately trying to put Embiid in pick and roll action because Embiid just can't move.
Oh yeah.
And he's trying to switch off, as the weak side guy trying to switch off to a weak side player. And the Knicks just kept putting him in action. And that's why OG's open and Shaman's open and they were able to expose. And so, like, those are the little things that people might not pay too much attention to that become so valuable, which is why on the flip side, like if you can run Brunson with four defenders, Brunson can kind of do that same thing. Where it's like
Yeah.
because teams would try to do that against Golden State, and Draymond was just smart enough to like physically shove Steph out of the way and like, no, I got this guy, and so you can get creative with how you defend those high ball screens.
Yeah, and there's something underrated about JB just playing straight up defense.
Yeah,
Like I think there's times where he helps off his man too much. I think there's times where they send too much help to him. And you even saw there was one play where DeMar DeRozan, who was giving the Knicks the entire pharmacy, not even the medicine cabinet. He gave the Knicks CVS last night, right? There was a play towards the end where it was him and Brunson on an island, and Brunson held his own and forced him into a tough shot. I
yeah,
think that's what you want. And even psychologically, I would want Brunson to play one-on-one defense because if they continue to keep on attacking him, they're going to get out of offensive rhythm eventually. And he's going to get some stops. So I think that plays into the Knicks' hand. When you have a lineup
yeah.
where he has four defenders around him that are switchable and who can help compensate for anything that any of his deficiencies.
I guess the one thing you would worry about is how exhausting that is for a guy trying to carry an offense, right?
Right. Well, that's why they want him to play off ball more.
Yeah.
You lighten the load somewhere so that you're able to exert the energy that you need in the clutch and on the defensive side.
Who's
Like
your
I
other,
think that lift is going to help him more than anything coming down the stretch.
who's the other playmaker?
That's another question they have to answer, right? I think quietly it was supposed to be Mikal Bridges. Try to adopt some of the stuff that he was doing in Brooklyn to be able to make some shots for himself. You see OG take up some of those duties. Honestly, if I had to say who's the secondary creator on the Knicks, it's probably Josh Hart
Mm.
because he's the guy that can grab a board and get right into transition and make the right play. And then he is the one that can help keep the offense moving because he operates as a hub unto within himself. So if you're asking me, Hart is probably the most reliable second creator that you have on that
Yo,
team.
you know how often I get the "I look like Mikal Bridges" thing? Do you ever get that? You ever
I
get
don't get Mikal Bridges, but that is insane.
Yo,
If your hair was a little bit higher, it'd be a wrap.
it's wild, man. I'm like, "Damn." I so many times I'll get a DM like, "Yo, you
Oh
messed up
man.
last night." It's like, "Bruh."
Like, yo, we traded 5 picks for you. Like,
Wait,
come
so who
on,
do you
man,
get? You don't
please.
get Bridges. Who do you get?
There was a point. So before I grew my hair out, there was a point where I used to get every light skinned black man in pop culture, you name it, they were calling me it. It was even to the point where I was like, all right, y'all are reaching right now. So
Yeah.
it's like, I've gotten so many over the years, and like OG Twitter users know exactly what I'm talking about because there was a day where people were just running off everybody that they felt I looked like, and I was like, y'all got it.
Yo,
I had
I
to
could
stand
see
up and
with the
clap.
facial hair. You get meth. You could get meth with the facial hair.
I've heard that. That's one. That's a classic one. Method Man is a classic one. Like, yo, it's hilarious, bro. Like, that's why I'm like, when it comes to the lookalike thing, I don't have too many jokes because I know you could just pick one out of the hat and
Yeah.
I might be cooked.
Yo, the one that yo, when I was younger, the one and it used to piss me off. I got Chingy. I was like, nah. Yeah, because I had braids. I had braids. I had braids coming up.
I can see it a little bit. That's
I
hilarious.
had braids coming
Chingy?
up. It used to piss me off. With all
Wow.
due respect to
Chingy
Chingy.
is crazy. Chingy is crazy. That's crazy. Yo, they oh man. The lookalike, when people start the lookalike stuff, man, it'd be hilarious, bro. It'd be
Man,
hilarious.
man. All right. So what you got coming up? Anything you want to promote? What you got cooking up over there?
Yeah, nah. I got KFS After School on the Knicks Film School YouTube channel. Weekly, we're talking about the Knicks, the week that was and the week that is to be. I'm also on NBA Takedown with my guy Jonathan Macri and
Mm.
Sean with a W. We talk about the league at large from multiple perspectives. And yeah, that's what I got going on now. And as always, Jeff J says on social media, if you like pop culture, if you like sports, and you love to talk at the intersection, I'm your guy.
Oh, so you do the NBA at large. Let me hit you with this. This is kind of devastating news for Rockets fans. You see Steven Adams undergoing season-ending
Yeah.
surgery.
Yeah.
This is a tough one. So they're now without their starting point guard who was out because of his torn ACL in training camp, and now they're starting center, and this just creates like madness for a team that had championship aspirations. KD's playing very well. Amin Thompson's taking that leap this year. Shingun's kind of been inconsistent, but he's a really good player. But when you lose your bookends, this is really tough for Houston.
Yeah, and they were demons on the offensive glass,
Yeah,
especially with Steven Adams, one of the best in the game. It's him and Mitch that
yeah,
are like neck and neck with it, right? And this is the fear that a lot of teams have when you have somebody that's so elite at one skill. When they get hurt, now you got to compensate elsewhere. Who do they have on their bench that can
mm.
step up and fill the void that Adams is leaving right now?
You
I
almost got to
still
go
think
out
they
there and
need a
make
point guard.
yeah. I mean, you almost got to go out there and make a trade because my mind immediately went to, do you ask Milwaukee? Because we're talking about Giannis, and they can get Giannis, but like Miles Turner, like is
Mm.
that like a fit? You got to get a center.
Yeah, you got to get it. I think, damn, for a team that seems so complete in the preseason, now they got gaping holes, and that's why I be saying like injuries need to be turned off, man. Injuries need to be straight turned off
I also th-
because
I also thought Drew Holiday made sense for them.
I think so too. I think so too. At some point, they're gonna have to figure out a way to get some type of facilitation. I get what they're trying to do with the men, but you can see with their turnover numbers and
Yeah,
everything else, like they're a solid team. I think when Van Vliet comes back, they're gonna be dangerous. They're gonna be super dangerous. But now, ooh, the
yeah.
Rockets might have to be buyers at the deadline.
Well,
They're
they
gonna have to
absolutely
fill it in
should be.
somehow, some way, man.
Yeah, they absolutely should be. Your thoughts on the Detroit Pistons? Is this like a regular season cute team, or do you really feel like they can win a couple of playoff rounds, possibly get
I
to the NBA
mean,
Finals?
I'm somebody who honors the regular season, right? Like you show me something in the regular season, I'm like, okay. Unless it does seem type fluky, there's times where it does seem fluky, but all in all, I think they found the gap within the power vacuum that was the I was about to say NFC East, but that was the Eastern Conference. And now it's them and OKC, the only two, I believe, 30 plus win teams in the league.
I
They're
think
doing
so.
everything that they need to, man. They're winning. They win without their key people. They're developing and refining their identity. I still think they do need to prove it in the postseason because they had promise last season too, right? But they're still going to need to prove it in the postseason. But I think if you're a Pistons fan, you got to be ecstatic. Like this was a better than what you could have ever thought their start could be. I think they still do need another creator or a scorer next to Cade because Cade does everything for them. You want to talk about a team that's hoping that the injury sliders are all the way down? Listen, they can probably survive, and with like most teams in this league, you get an injury to your superstar and it's probably curtains, right? Or your expectations are gonna drop. But Cade is somebody who's literally doing everything for that squad. I want to see what their secondary scoring is like, especially when offense slows down in the postseason.
I think I was listening to Ian Begley the other day, and he mentioned the Pistons as a possible landing spot. Shout out old man Knicks fan, Greens from ATL. The Pistons as a possible landing spot for Michael Porter Jr. That would be nice for them.
I've heard that. That's something. It also depends on who you're giving up, right? Who are you giving up? But yeah, man, that I can tell you that is something. That is somebody. I think that's somebody that could help. But I'm eager to see how he would fit into their defensive-minded identity.
That's the thing. It's not going to happen. He's out there to do one thing, and actually two things. He's a great rebounder. But he's out there to shoot. He's got the blickies.
Exactly. Green light, emerald green light.
All right. So before we get on out of here, the Knicks, let's just say they don't make the Giannis trade. You still feel very confident they get to the finals, and not just get to the final. Can they win the title this year?
I think the title's wide open. I'm not as fait accompli as some of the other people to just hand it to OKC. This is not a coronation. This is a competition. And that team was possibly an Achilles away from catching an L in 7 games. I think Denver, for all the majesty of the Joker, they're still like 22nd in defense, right? Houston is taking hits with injuries. And while I see the teams and I see all of the great competition in the East, I want to see these teams do it in the postseason. You know, right now, out of all the main contenders in the East, I've only seen one of those teams do it when it matters. Well, actually 2, the Celtics and the Knicks. So, you know, I'm just eager to see what happens in the postseason, what the seeding is going to look like. Because I think once we get back from the All-Star break, you're going to see some separation one way or another. And I like the Knicks' chances as much as anybody.
Wait, so how long have you been doing the Knicks Film School?
This is my 2nd year, I want to say. Or this might be actually. No, yeah, this is my 2nd year. This is my 2nd year.
I was gonna say, like, isn't it amazing in all your years watching the Knicks that we somehow have gotten to a point where we say, I want to see other teams do it in the playoffs because the only proven team right now, the New York Knicks, like it's crazy.
Listen,
started from the bottom and now we're here.
History can change in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
The NBA vibes are the most fickle out of any sport. I remember as a kid when the Mavs used to be cheeks. They were the laughing stock of the league. I remember when the Warriors weren't chipping up like that. All it takes is one player, one system, one coach, and your fortunes are changed. Listen, this is part of the reason why a lot of the NBA, a lot of the people that are anti-New York do not want the Knicks to win the title. Because the minute you do, you're going to have to find a new subject. I mean, the Knicks for Clicks industrial complex is already crumbling brick by brick. The title is the last nail in the coffin. So whoever wins that is automatically immortalized in this city and by proxy, the league. And you really won't be able to tell Knicks fans anything. I mean, I'm a Giants fan. The grace has officially ran out from them 2 Super Bowls, but for that decade that they was ass, I was cool. I wasn't cool, but it was. I always had something to keep me warm at night, which was those titles. But now that grace has completely ran out. But we're
Listen,
talking what, 15 years later?
yeah, that's a long time ago. I root for the Knicks 80 of the 82 games a year. I'll be at the Garden on Sunday rooting for my team, the
I
Los
like that.
Angeles Lakers. Hopefully Austin Reeves is back. But yeah, you're right, man. And that's why we'll end it here. Like at my mantra, I guess would be the right way to phrase it, is like it's championship or bust. And it's not because I think that like I have the ultimate respect for Oklahoma City. Like what they did, and I agree with you by the way. If Halliburton doesn't get hurt and the way he was playing, I thought they were gonna win game seven. But it just changes so quickly. Like the last half decade. I'm a Laker fan. 2020, it's like, oh, AD and LeBron just won. They've got a wide open title window. They've won two playoffs or one playoff series since then. We thought the Bucks, like this is the team to beat. They haven't been
Yup.
out the first round. Then it what Warriors were different because they were kind of an older team. But the Nuggets, we thought, hey, Jokic, his reign, he's gonna reign supreme. Haven't gotten back to the finals. Then just last year we were having a conversation about the Celtics being a dynasty. And they
Right.
got clipped in round two. So like these things change so quickly, which is why I'm like, yo, if you're the Knicks, man, you got to get it now. Like, there's no tomorrow. Yes, next year can happen and you can make the Giannis trade. But especially, Jeff, because of all these injuries that just happened with, Tatum and Halliburton, like these
Mhm.
things, Jokic, we thought that might be season ending when we first saw it.
Yup.
Yo,
1,000%. Most
you got to get
parody
it
I've
now.
seen it as a fan. Most parody I've seen as a fan. Telling
You
you, bro.
you got to get it
It's that
now,
time.
man.
Yep.
You going to the game by any chance Sunday?
Yeah, I'm looking to be in the building. So
All right. So
hopefully,
I'll hit.
hopefully we connect.
Yeah, I'll hit you, man. I appreciate you joining the show.
Anytime, bro.
Definitely gotta do this again. Uh, big fan of what you're doing over there. And man, us brothers, we gotta stick together in this business. Feel
Of
me?
course, man. I appreciate you tapping in, and I appreciate you allowing me to tap in, man. I'm
Absolutely.
supporting your support of your work, everything that you're doing. You know what I mean? Trying to get like you when I grow up. You know what I'm saying?
Trying to do the
So
same.
trying to get
Shout,
like you when I grow up. So I love to see everybody in the city doing their thing across media. So I'm
absolutely, man.
appreciative.
Shout your workout one last time so the people can know
Yes,
where you
sir.
at.
NBA Takedown on YouTube, Knicks Film School on YouTube. I host After School weekly show. Jeff J says on YouTube and all social media, where you get my pop culture, social commentary, and sports commentary as well. And if for those of you who watch the show in the Power Universe, I host the best podcast for Power in the multiverse, Power After Hours, one of the best
Mm,
communities to talk about the shows, to review all the news, all the rumors, all of that. Like we have one of the best communities online, so definitely tap in there too.
you said pop culture, man. It just immediately brought me to, once was one of my favorite artists of all time, Nicki Minaj, and that madness that she did today.
Oh man,
Man.
how the mighty have fallen, bro.
Jeff J. I appreciate you, bro.
My
Holla at your
man.
boy.
Thank you, sir.
That was Jeff J. Tremendous stuff with him. Uh, thank you guys for hopping in the chat. This was a really good conversation with someone who follows the Knicks very closely, and we're excited, man. We're engaged. The next 8 days are going to be so much fun. With this Giannis thing, do they make the trade or do they decide whether it's their decision or the decision that is above their heads and that they don't have enough assets? Do they decide to just roll and continue to roll with this team? And we shall see what happens. It's so fascinating because 5 minutes. Here's the crazy part, and let's not underrate this. And it's where Leon Rose deserves mad credit. Just 5 minutes ago, the Knicks were not an attractive destination for Giannis Antetokounmpo. That was not happening. Just 5 minutes ago, they were a dumpster fire. And they didn't have all these first round picks that they hit on. You go back to 2015, they nailed Kristaps, but they didn't know what to do with him. And that was a Phil Jackson mistake, but they didn't hit on Kristaps. I guess you can say they hit on RJ Barrett, but they traded him. Their last decade of first round pick batting average is not very high. So the fact that they have rebuilt this brand and created a contender and doing it through all these trades. Now, some of them you kind of wince at, like the Mikal Bridges thing, 5 first-round picks. We'll see if it leads to the ultimate success. But us sitting here today contemplating a Giannis trade to the Knicks because Giannis does want to go to the Knicks, and it's not just like some Nick pipe dream that we've done in the past where it's like, oh yeah, come LeBron, come Katie, come Wade, come Bosh. No, like there's a legitimate chance that we get and it can happen at any moment. We get a notification on Twitter. Sham Charania is breaking the story that Giannis is a Knick. And that's just something that honestly, I did not think we would ever see the day. Like the Knicks were the Jets, and my Jets are an absolute disgrace. But that's how bad they were. And slowly but surely, through leadership, through, I don't want to say pristine decision making, but certainly like solid to very good decision making. Here we are. They're the number 3 seed in the Eastern Conference and could be a one move away from getting at worst the fourth best player in the NBA. And what that does for their title chances, man, I don't think the Knicks can win a championship this year. As much respect as I have for what they've built, I just think there are too many holes and deficiencies. And that's not me being a hater. Some of y'all Knicks fans really get sensitive when it comes to this conversation. I can look at the league and say, yeah, want the Cat and Brunson on the floor at the same time will get exploited just the way Indiana did last year. And I just don't know that you can overcome that. I also have reservations about the Cat Mike Brown relationship. Feels like during this win streak, the best minutes the Knicks play are with Cat on the bench. And I don't think that's a recipe for success, especially when he's your second best player. And so there's a huge issue there. There's a huge issue when I continue to hear comments emanating from that locker room about egos and we over me. Something's got to get fixed. And maybe it's a trade. Maybe it's a trade. Or maybe it's, Bridges starts to play closer to what he did at the beginning of the season. OG gets on a roll here. Brunson, we know, is fantastic. Mitch is going to start to play some more minutes. Cat gets out of his funk post trade deadline. And now you've got the pieces on your bench with Deuce, Jordan Clarkson, who, hasn't seen a lot of playing time lately, but maybe there's still a spark left in him. And you roll with this, and Mike Brown starts to push all the right buttons, and then you get to the playoffs, and we're like, oh wow, why did we ever question if they had the ability to hit their apex? So maybe we're proven wrong. I hope so. I love basketball, man. Knick fans get mad at me all the time. I'm at all the playoff games. I'm there watching every second, just like you guys are. I am informed. I don't gotta spit my credentials. People know I know my damn basketball. But because of the love I have for this sport, it would just be exciting to have a team in this city turning the hell up. I'm a Durant guy. So when he got to the Nets, I was like, yo, this is popping. Nets about to win a championship. And I know the Knicks fans didn't want to hear that. Oh, nobody watches the Nets. Cool. I'm in New York City, man. My team is in LA, so I root for them to win the title over anyone. But if they're not going to win the championship, I want to see some New York City hoops get it popping. I would have loved to see the Nets and the Knicks at the same time be good. And I know everyone wants to run that. Um, it's so funny. And poor Nick Claxton. Every time the Knicks beat the Nets, they run back the Claxton clip of I've been drafted, whatever it was. He said, I've been drafted by the Nets. And since I've come into the league, one thing I don't do is lose to the Knicks. I want to see them be good at the same time, which is why the Donovan Mitchell trade request is going to happen at some point. I want to see the Nets all in on that. I want to see the Knicks continue to be a tremendous team because it gives us something exciting here in New York City to talk about. Certainly not getting that with the Jets. The Giants now trending in the right direction with John Harbaugh. The Mets had a nice little offseason. The Yankees perennially are in the playoffs. But it's cool, man. It's cool to see the Knicks put themselves in this position where they are attractive enough for a heavy hitter like Giannis. I am trying to run through some uh, tweets just because I want to, before I get on out of here, I want to make sure I'm not leaving y'all with some meat on the bone as far as like rumors and updates to um, some of the news we're getting here. But February 5th, man, that is next Thursday. We're gonna be on tilt until then. Wendy just said the Warriors have the most straightforward, easiest way to trade for Giannis without involving other teams. I don't want to do that. Yo, I know I'm gonna sound like a hater. The most and boring is not the right word. Anticlimactic is not the right word, but for me, I'll use anticlimactic thing that would happen would be him going to Golden State. Now, obviously, because of Steph and the history of the Warriors, Kerr, the Hall of Fame head coach, the allure, the dynasty and all that, like it's great for the league. But for me, I'm good on that. And I'm not just saying this as a Lakers fan, y'all. I'm good on that. I don't want to see Giannis go to the Warriors. That's not fun. I'd rather see him go to Toronto. I'd rather see him go to Miami. Would love, obviously, to see him to go to the Knicks. I'm not a Knicks fan, but it would be great for y'all. And, a lot of Knicks fans showing me love. I don't want to see him go to the Warriors. Can we please not have that happen? I don't want to wake up from any sleep or I'm busy and I go to check my phone or my watch is buzzing and I'm getting a breaking news story from Sham Charania saying that Giannis is going to Golden State. Please, Father God, in the name of Jesus, we pray, do not send Giannis to Golden State. No, I don't want it. And look, as the KD guy, so Nick Wright was just on his TV show doing his mock trades. And his last mock trade involved Houston as a team with a bunch of assets. And I immediately text him. I'm like, bro, it's not good for KD's legacy. Because that's what I'm worried about. I'm worried about KD's legacy. Could you imagine Kevin Durant winning a championship with Giannis as his teammate? Wasn't allowed to do that with Steph. The smoke that they had for him back then, now it's different because he lost and then went to that team and it was Steph's team. Steph had already won. So it's different because he got to Houston first. But there's a part of me that's just like, man, I do not want to see Giannis in Houston because I'm about that legacy talk. Like if the Knicks win the title with Giannis, legacy. Oh man, there is nothing you can ever say about Giannis to a Knicks fan. Helps bring them the championship. Giannis goes to Toronto and wins a title. That's legacy solidified. Just their second championship ever. He goes to Miami and wins a title. It's like, oh, you did with Wade, LeBron, and now Giannis. Like you're joining elite company. And it's Miami. It's Pat Riley. It's Spoelstra. I like it to get into the legacy talk. So for KD, the legacy, there's more downside than there is upside, which is why, and I'm going back here to 2019 when he leaves Golden State, bruh, you got to go to the Knicks, man. You win a championship with the Knicks, KD. Like all the people, and he says he doesn't care what they say about him. I refuse to believe any professional athlete does not care what the reputation is on the internet or in media. You win a championship with the Knicks. Could you imagine anyone ever saying anything remotely critical about you? You see the way they treat Brunson? And Brunson's the furthest he's gone with the Knicks is Eastern Conference Finals. Imagine KD winning a championship with the Knicks, but that's coming on. This has been fun. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Yo, follow and subscribe to the YouTube channel, Ty D Butler. Follow my page. Follow me on Twitter. That's X. Follow me on Instagram. So keep it locked on all of my social media platforms. I'm getting that TikTok popping. It has been a blast talking to you guys today. We're up to 135 here. That's pretty cool. Had a lot of fun. And the moment we get some news about Giannis, we will hit y'all with that. We will come on live and talk to you guys about that the moment we get some Giannis news. Um, so appreciate you guys for tuning in. Peace and love. Holla at your boy.